The last thing which we have discussed was the law and the business competition. That is all about free and fair competition. हमने कहा था कि there are some certain advantages of free and fair competition and there are some certain disadvantages which was covered in the last session. Then today we were supposed to move ahead with the next concept of social audit report. What is a social audit report? Social audit से पहले we have to understand the concept of financial audit, फिर आएंगे social audit पे, फिर आएंगे environmental audit पे. So these three words are supposed to be memorized. Financial audit, social audit, environmental audit. Financial audit क्या है? Financial audit is the mandatory requirement for the public and private limited companies. What do you mean by financial audit? कि आपकी एक थर्ड पार्टी आएगी, वो आकर आपके फाइनेंसेस को क्रॉस चेक करेगी. दोज इन सिंपल वर्ड जिसको हम ऑडिटर्स कहते हैं. So they are finance experts, those who can find out the mistakes in your accounts, or they can find out the amalgamations or discrepancies or corruption in your accounts easily. So अब third party से accounts को cross check करवाना, accuracy की assurance लेना is mandatory. That is called as financial audit और ये mandatory term है. Second term है that is called as social audit. Social audit क्या है कि that how much you have done for the society. ये मैंडेटरी नहीं है अभी तक, लेकिन इट इज़ बिकमिंग अ काइंड ऑफ अ मैंडेटरी थिंग फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ड्यू टू द सोशल प्रेशर्स. अब सोसाइटी मांगती है आपसे कि आपने सोसाइटी के लिए क्या काम किया है. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ सोशल ऑडिट. सो हैव अ लुक एट द डेफिनेशन. सो सोशल ऑडिट इज अ वे ऑफ मेजरिंग, अंडरस्टैंडिंग, रिपोर्टिंग and ultimately improving an organization's social and ethical performance. So अगर आपने एक साल की जब आप सोशल ऑडिट रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं तो आप उसमें मेंशन करते हैं कि हाउ मच वी हैव डन फॉर द सोसाइटी. उसमें आपको खुद आइडेंटिफिकेशन हो जाती है कि वेयर द गैप्स आर एंड हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू ब्रिज दैट गैप इन द नेक्स्ट ईयर. तो नेक्स्ट ईयर जब आप सोशल ऑडिट रिपोर्ट पब्लिश करेंगे तो उसमें यू विल बी मेंशनिंग दैट दीज वर द गैप्स विच वी आइडेंटिफाइड लास्ट ईयर और इस साल हमने इसको ब्रिज किया है, मजीद इंप्रूवमेंट लाए. एडवांटेज क्या होगा? इट हेल्प्स टू नैरो द गैप्स बिटवीन द विजन एंड गोल ऑफ द बिजनेस एंड बिटवीन एफिशिएंसी एंड इफेक्टिवनेस. अब यहाँ पे हम दो वर्ड यूज कर रहे हैं अगेन, एफिशिएंसी एंड इफेक्टिवनेस के. अगर आपकी सोशल ऑडिट रिपोर्ट होगी तो आपके जो गैप्स हैं बिटवीन द विजन स्टेटमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी, बिटवीन द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ द कंपनी, वो बेहतर होना शुरू होंगे, वो गैप्स ब्रिज होना शुरू होंगे. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल if CSR is your objective, corporate social responsibility, तो आप social audit report में you will mention that how much successful you were. फिर इसी तरह increase in the consumer base was your objective. तो increase in consumer base के साथ आपने कितने ethically उनको attract किया है, you mention that in the social audit report as well. And second element हमने कहा between efficiency and effectiveness. It is not just about increasing the profit of the business. It is about increasing the profit which is also supporting the customers, which is also helping the community. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, उसका प्रॉफिट 1 मिलियन से इंक्रीज करके 10 मिलियन तक चला गया. इट्स गुड फॉर द कंपनी, बट इज इट गुड फॉर द कस्टमर? इज इट गुड फॉर द कम्युनिटी? इज इट गुड फॉर द गवर्नमेंट? मे बी नॉट. So for that bridging of the gap, what we do is we say yes, our profits have been increased by 10 times, so that our working for the community has also increased by 10 times. Pehle we were spending suppose 100,000 on the general community. Now we are spending 10 times of it. हम जितना प्रॉफिट ज़्यादा गेन कर रहे हैं उतना ज़्यादा कम्युनिटी को सपोर्ट भी कर रहे हैं. दैट इज द इफेक्टिवनेस, राइट. एफिशिएंसी क्या है? एफिशिएंसी इज वर्किंग हार्ड वर्क को कहते हैं एफिशिएंसी. इंक्रीजिंग योर आउटपुट एंड लोअरिंग योर कॉस्ट्स इज कॉल्ड एज एफिशिएंसी. इफेक्टिवनेस क्या है? लोअरिंग द कॉस्ट विच इज ऑल्सो हेल्पिंग आउट टू अचीव सम सर्टेन ऑब्जेक्टिव. और ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? सोसाइटी की सपोर्ट करना. प्रॉफिट तो इंक्रीज हो रहा है, लेकिन ड्यूरिंग दैट इंक्रीज इन प्रॉफिट कहीं हमने कम्युनिटी को इग्नोर तो नहीं कर दिया. दैट मस्ट बी इंक्लाइंड विद इट. Social audit report. Second advantage of the social audit report is it values the voice of the stakeholders, including marginalized or poor group whose voices are rarely heard. So, जब आप सोसाइटी के लिए काम करते हैं तो sometimes you develop a quota system in an organization. I am giving you an example कि आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कोटा सिस्टम बिल्ड होता है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल एक सोशली डिप्राइव्ड कम्युनिटी थी. Talk about Pakistan, we have got some regions like Baluchistan which is having a less representation in the corporate sector. So whenever we are hiring the people, we say 10% of the employees must be hired from Baluchistan. 10% of the people must be hired from Sindh or tribal belt. So when we say that, that means we're giving voices to those who were not heard earlier. So this is going to again bridge the gap between the societies, different cultures, right? Similarly, in US, we know about that there is a difference between the black and the white. So the black people actually don't like to be working under white and vice versa. So these brag gaps can be bridged when you're going to work for the opposite section of the society as well. Social auditing is taken up for the purpose of enhancing local governance, particularly for strengthening accountability and transparency in local bodies. So point is कि जो social audit है आप क्यों कर रहे हैं? It is not a mandatory requirement. Why you are telling people that you are working for the people? Actually working for the people was the job of the government. Opening up the hospitals, low cost hospitals was the job of the government. Opening up the parks was the job of the government. But you being a corporate sector are doing these things. If you are doing these things, that means you are taking the jobs of the governments on your shoulders, and that means you are trying to improve the local governance system in your society. So it is you are just taking the responsibility of a government which you can. So social audit report works in that perspective as well, that you are trying to help out the governments. Practice questions, ये दो questions है past paper के. I would request you to note down both of these questions and you will be finding these questions into your जो past papers की file आपके साथ shared है, you will be having that having these questions in that. एक आपको शायद उसमें ना मिले, मई जून 2009 पेपर 3 क्वेश्चन नंबर 1, शायद उसमें ये आपको क्रॉस रोड्स की केस स्टडी ना मिले. तो यू कैन डाउनलोड दिस पास्ट पेपर बाय योरसेल्फ, बट नेक्स्ट पेपर आपको ज़रूर उसमें मिल जाएगा. So try to develop the structure of these two questions and we will be discussing these two questions by tomorrow inshallah. So whatever you have developed, whatever knowledge you have developed, whether you are following the 8 marker structure or not, whatever you have developed so far will be discussed tomorrow. Next is the impact of the technology on the business activity. टेक्नोलॉजी का इम्पैक्ट बिजनेस एक्टिविटी पे क्या होगा, इसको ज़रा रैपिडली देखेंगे, ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगाएंगे इसके ऊपर. So first element is the pace of the change in the technology is becoming more rapid and often changes the impact of your market come from the unexpected sources. Right. So the pace of change in the technology is becoming more rapid and often changes the impact of your market come from the unexpected sources. अब पहली बात, technological factors can be broadly divided into two areas. One is manufacturing, second is infrastructure. जब भी हम टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करते हैं तो दो मेन एरियाज की बात करते हैं. पहला टेक्नोलॉजी इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, यानी कि आपके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग मेथड्स, फ्लो प्रोडक्शन, मास कस्टमाइजेशन, ऑटोमेशन, रोबोटिक्स. एंड सेकंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ओवरऑल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन सिस्टम, ऑटोमेशन इन सॉफ्टवेयर. सो दो तरह की टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में, एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग रिलेटेड टेक्नोलॉजी और एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर रिलेटेड टेक्नोलॉजी. Organizations that fail to keep up with the technological advances leave opportunities for a smaller producer or new entrant to enter into the market. So if you are not upgrading as per the technology, that means you are becoming inefficient. And if you are becoming inefficient, that means you are leaving space for the newcomer to enter into the market and bridge that gap. टेक्नोलॉजी में मेजर आप किन चीज़ों को डिस्कस करते हैं, हैव अ लुक एट दीज वन बाय वन. टेक्नोलॉजी एक्चुअली ट्रांसफॉर्म्स द ऑपरेशन, इसको हम कहते हैं मैनेजमेंट टेक्नोलॉजी. एक जनरल आइडिया दे रहे हैं, इट्स नॉट द पार्ट ऑफ द directly not going to be tested in your papers, but generally you must have to have an idea so that you can develop a good analysis. Technology transform the operations. That means आपके operations के अंदर improvement आती है, जैसे अभी हमने कहा कि improving the production methods. Stock management, you use the softwares to automatically manage the stocks. जैसे स्टॉक एक सर्टेन लेवल से नीचे जाएगा, ऑटोमेटिकली द ऑर्डर इज गोइंग टू बी प्लेस्ड टुवर्ड्स द सप्लायर. So who is doing that? The software or the technology. Third, track activity of the business growth. So all of the data जो आपके database में on just one click you get the trend that last 5 years का trend मेरे सामने present करें, that is done through the technology. Increase in productivity due to the production technology या HT technology. Collaboration and outsourcing communication technology. So communication के अंदर right now we're having an online class suppose, so that is just because of the communication technology. The collaboration becomes easier, and now we outsource tasks to the different people living in different countries as well. Securing sensitive information management technology. So all of the secrets are not supposed to be printed on files, they can be encrypted in the files in soft mode as well. Digital marketing strategies, जिसको marketing technology का part कहते हैं, use the social media to market your stuff is becoming a norm. Then broaden the consumer base, again marketing technology का part. How can you increase the base of the consumers? Where are the gaps in the market? This is what we are going to define. And then last is consumer retention. CRM technology. कैसे consumer को retain करना है? How you are going to communicate with the consumers? कैसे उनको reminders देने हैं that you will have to come back and buy from us? CRM technology. Then pros and cons of the technology is what we are going to go through by yourself. Quickly देख लें within a minute, and then we are going to wrap up today's session about the technology. So quickly एक दफ़ा रिवाइज कर देते हैं. So first advantage is increased production and efficiency, इसकी हम बात कर चुके. Second, improved customer services. So when you are going to have a consumer relationship marketing, so it is going to improve your customer services. Third, enhanced communication. आपके ऑनलाइन मीडियम से कंज्यूमर रिलेशनशिप मैनेजमेंट सॉफ्टवेयर से कम्युनिकेशन बेहतर हो रही है. देन सेफ एंड सिक्योर स्टोरेज ऑफ द डाटा. Previously you were securing the data on the files, now you are securing it on computer systems. Global learning platforms have been developed using the technology. Now you can give the training and development to your employees on the basis of global learning platforms. Helps physically challenged people as well. Those who cannot move can still work. Managing life easier and convenient, making life easier and convenient. And then healthcare and medicine में technology is taking part as well. Disadvantages क्या हैं? Technology is not 100% safe. Dependency on electricity and the internet. Internet नहीं तो technology नहीं. Affected social life as well. People are getting near to the social media and further from their relatives. That's the problem of the social media. Distraction for the learners. Online classes में you start playing, sometimes you start watching the season, sometimes you start chatting with your friends. You may not be having a control over yourself. That is the normal issue with the technology. Then technology is expensive. Second last, training and development requirement you to use the technology. इस वक्त ऑनलाइन क्लास हो रही है. It's pretty easier to go for it, but for the real life organizations it may be difficult to like manage the online streams and the softwares. Then negative impact on the ecological systems, that we are more relying on the chipset systems. Again a carbon emissions to release करती हैं ये machines, that is going to have a negative impact on the economic systems as well. So next element में हम टेक्नोलॉजी के इंट्रोडक्शन को देखेंगे, that how we are going to introduce the technology in the businesses. इसको वन बाय वन में एक्सप्लेन करूंगा इंशाल्लाह आने वाली सेशन के अंदर. Alright, so let's talk about the stages of introducing in the technology in the business. So the first stage is the analyzing. Before starting, let me give you an example. Suppose you will have to install a new computer systems in your computer laboratory. So we have got the computer systems. Is there a requirement of upgrading? Do we have to upgrade or not? How much upgradation is required? How much investment should we make into this upgradation? So all of these questions comes under the concept of upgradation, or you can say that implementation of the technology. So once we have to introduce a new technology or upgraded technology into any business, we have to follow these certain stages which are given in front of you. So the first stage is potential use of IT and ways how it can help the business. So first thing you are going to define is that whether the new computer systems which are going to have, what is going to be the use of it and how it is going to help out the students. For example, you already have the computer systems. Isn't it helping out? If it is not, why not? What are the gaps in it? And the new system which we are going to install is going to bridge these gaps or not. So that's the first level, to analyze the current situation of finding the gaps and see whether the gaps are going to be bridged or not. Second stage is involvement. Once you analyze the current situation, the second thing is involve all of the stakeholders. So who are the stakeholders? The students who are using the laboratory, the teachers who are teaching in those laboratories and using these systems, the laboratory in charge or the laboratory manager who is going to manage these laboratories, the finance department who's going to obviously finance for this laboratory. So we have to consult all of the stakeholders, those who are directly or indirectly involved in this process or will be involved in the process. And then we are going to take the feedback from them or input from them. Third, evaluate. Do the comparative analysis with alternatives, that is costs and the productivity. What is evaluate? Evaluate is like, for example, you are upgrading the systems. How many options do we have? Like you can upgrade the system using company A, you can upgrade the system using company B, and then using company C. So which company is preferable? Which company is better? You evaluate, you do the comparative analysis. So better can be in terms of quality, better in terms of cost effectiveness, better in terms of after sales service. You analyze the multiple companies and do the comparative analysis. Then plan. So you have finalized the company. Now plan the course of action. What do you mean by course of action? From training to implementation of the new systems. Now the question to you is, once we are planning to implement, when the training must be given? Before the implementation of the new IT system, during the implementation of the IT system, or after the implementation of the new IT system? We have to plan accordingly. So the answer is before the implementation. So it is going to take some time in order to give the training to the people. So what we are going to do is we are going to give training to 2 or 3 relevant people before the implementation. And once the implementation is done, your training must be completed by then. And once the training is completed and implementation is done, those 2 or 3 or 4 people or limited people in an organization will give the training to other people, and slowly and gradually you are going to change the systems if it is possible. So slowly and gradually give the trainings and development to the people and make them equipped to the new systems, because transition will take some time. And then at the end, monitor the performance periodically and see what improvements are evident. So monitor the performance before the implementation, monitor the performance after the implementation. So both before and after effects must be clear. Just like you see a skincare advertisement most of the times and they show you before Fair and Lovely and after Fair and Lovely effect. So this is the same effect, that before the implementation of the software and after the implementation of the new software or upgraded system, what is the difference in the performance? If the performance is evident, if the performance is improved, that means this is a good investment. But if there isn't any major improvement in the performance, that means it is merely a waste of money at the end of the day. So these are the 5 stages in introduction of the technology in the business. Now the question is how the examiner will ask us. You may use these steps into your analysis. That suppose if you want to upgrade, how should you upgrade? In your analysis, you can give these stages one by one. First we will analyze, then we will involve, then we will evaluate, then we will plan and then implement that change and then monitor the changes as well. So this can become a very in-depth analysis for you in order to implement a change in an organization, especially when it is a technological change. So important topics to research for you is in the technology, intellectual property rights. I normally ask my students to research on the topics before closing your A levels, because these are the areas which is going to help you out in devising your future. You can find out and research, maybe you find out uh, the areas where you can or you must get into the universities. So this is the most common question asked by the A-level students are which university we should go, which subject we should opt for, and these research topics are going to help you out in devising that. So go for the intellectual property rights and see how you can build a career in it. Then what is copyright infringements and how people build their careers in it. Go for the use of technology in global communication like multinational and trades. Which type of softwares are used in global communications? And if you can get a skill of those softwares, the chances are bright if that you are going to get a job very easily. Use of the fintech in global trade. My personal favorite is the fintech. The use of finance and the technology combined together is called as fintech. And under the fintech, we discuss multiple elements like blockchain technology, the technology which is used by the cryptocurrencies as well. Then artificial intelligence systems, which is quite the present, not the future, but still artificial intelligence in multiple departments, how it's going to work out in the future. Then mobile payments, MOBI systems, which is called as MOBI payment systems, are getting normalized, in the future. And then introduction of the digital platforms, especially in the organizations, that how organizations are using the digital platforms for their own benefits. So these are the areas where you can and you must research in the future. These are the practice questions which you have to go through by yourself and note on the practice questions papers like Major 14 paper 31 question 3, Major 11 paper 32 question number 1. Both of these case studies are available in the past papers file which I have shared with you. Coming towards the social influences on the business activity. So social influence, what do you mean by social influence? Overall, generally, the society has got an impact on the business. What is that impact? The first impact is the aging population. Have a look at your right hand side and see the changes in the picture. So what is happening from 2015 till 2050? So what's happening? Overall, we are seeing that the percentage of the people, like the darker color is 30% or more people are getting 60 years or older. So in the regions like Iran, China, and most part of the Europe is, and in the Canada, the 30% or more than 30% people would be of age 60 plus by 2050. How it is going to have a change on your businesses, how it is going to have an impact on your business. Have a look at the first point, increased dependency ratio. If more than 30 people are 60 plus, that means they are living after the retirement, and that means they are depending on their children. So dependency ratio is going to be increased, and dependency in terms of higher pension or health expenses, and second, burden on the healthcare services. That higher pension means that 60 plus you will have to give the pensions to these people if they have worked in the public sector or even in some private sectors. There is a concept of old age benefit given. Then health expenses normally increases at this stage. So overall health expenses, if it is afforded by the businesses, it is going to increase. If it is afforded by the governments, it will be increased, and indirectly governments are going to put pressure on the businesses in terms of taxations. Second, burden on health services. That obviously when their health expense is going to increase, overall health services would feel a burdenized, will feel a pressure. Second point, burden for sandwich generation. So what's a sandwich generation? The sandwich generation is the generation which is supporting their elders, that is their father, mother, and also their children. So the breadwinners who are supporting their parents as well as their children are called as sandwich generation. So with the passage of time, you will see that due to this aging population, the pressure on the sandwich generation will increase more. Then more isolation or loneliness, because the sandwich generation is focusing on their careers, working day and nights so that they can like manage the expenses of their households, whereas the old age people are not finding them, and the children are like obviously spending the time on the school and then after school work. So everyone is focusing on their own direction, so there is going to be more isolation, less work-life balance seen. Then possible solutions to these problems are: one, migration, that will lead towards a baby boom. That's what Canadians do a lot. So they open up migration policies or ease the migration policies for the Asians mostly. It's around the globe, but Asians actually take an advantage of it most of the times, and they migrate it to these countries like Canada. And what happens if they migrate to these countries? Obviously, after 5 or 6 or 7 years of the marriage, obviously there's going to be a baby boom. So if there's a baby boom, that means that a lesser number of people will be 30 plus, so 60 plus. So if suppose there are 1000 people in Canada, and out of that 300 people will be 60 plus. So what we do is, obviously we cannot stop that element, but we can increase the level of people who are youngsters. So by rather than 1000, now they have inducted 1000 more youngsters into their country. So the total become 2000. So previously it was 300 out of 1000. Now it is 300 out of 2000, because these 2000 is going to be there for next 20-25 years, and they will before they are going to become 60 plus. So for the next 25-30-40 years, we are going to have 300 out of 2000, which are going to be 60 plus. So this ratio will come down from 30% to 15% automatically. So migration leads towards baby boom, and this is kind of a solution, so to expand the sandwich generation as much as possible. Second, increase life expectancy is a good solution. For example, if an average age of people living is 65 and the retirement age is 60, if the expectancy increases from 65 to 75, the possible chances are the retirement age will increase from 60 to 65 or 70. So increase in retirement age would have a positive impact on this aging population as well. Second impact is the pattern of employments, that capital intensive business is leading towards decreased employment. So generally that is having a negative societal impact. Society is having less jobs just because of most of the companies are using the machines to produce the stuff. Now, old industries like steel, plastic are now converting into the high-tech industries. So these were the industries which are known as the job creators in a country. Now these are converting to high-tech industries, again automation. That means less jobs available. Increased women involvement has increased the competition level in the organizations as well. Previously, if like 75 to 80% of the people were in the management posts, now it is getting lesser day by day because of the women involvements. Higher inflation leads towards more part-timers, students getting employed as well. Higher inflation means we cannot afford. If we cannot afford, we obviously do part-time in order to meet our expenses. So when more part-timers joins and students getting employed, obviously that actually hampers or disturbs the overall societal element, like work-life balance is not there. Students are unable to focus on their universities, and the part-timers try to work even on lesser salaries, and then this again develops a pressure for those who are unemployed, because since the part-timer is available at cheap cost, who is going to hire the full-timer for the organization? Then flexible hours helping working parents. So positive side of the picture is, due to this flexibility, working parents are having a positive gesture being shown by the organizations due to the flexibility in the hours. So if suppose some parent is supposed to drop their children into the school at 7 o'clock in the morning, so they can join the office at 8 o'clock rather than 7 o'clock. So such flexibilities are given to them. Plus the breaks are adjusted according to the school closure times for them. So this is helping them out, helping the society. This is obviously putting a pressure on other businesses to keep their timings as flexible as possible if they want to retain good employees. Possible evaluation point for the society is going to be, there are as many opportunities as threat for the businesses. Increased women employed leads towards wider choices for the companies. That's what we have discussed. This leads to an increased cost of maternity leaves, that obviously we know that they have to be given at least 4 months of maternity leave. So this comes with a cost. Obviously this is going to be a paid leave by the organization, and during that 4 months you will have to hire an alternative person for a temporary basis, and you will have to pay that person as well, because that is a legal mandatory requirement. You cannot lay off that woman on that specific time period. That leads towards, but the positive aspect of this is There is a cost, but the positive aspect is the person who is going to come back to the office after 4 years getting paid, even not even working for a single day, so that there's going to be increased loyalty shown by that employee. So increased loyalty, increased creativity, and increased efficiency, that person is going to recover those 4 months as quick as possible so that they can return the favor to the organization. So this is what we do as a cost benefit analysis. So we don't say that these 4 months salary is lost. We say this 4 months salary is actually invested so that the next months the person is going to work more for the organization and more creatively for the organization. So in the next session, we will be talking about the environmental influences on the business activity, in which we will be discussing some arguments in favor of CSR, against the CSR, discuss about the environmental audit. Again, we have discussed the social audit already, and then the role of pressure groups in the organizations, and then there will be a practice question to be solved. So I think that is it for the day. Inshallah, we'll catch up in the next session.